George Orwell's 1984 is a book that is frequently referenced by American conservatives, but there is a profound irony in American politics. It revolves around how some American conservatives who often reference George Orwell's 1984 for its warnings against authoritarian tactics are themselves demonstrating the very same tactic of projection and doublethink described in the book. They accuse others of the actions and intentions that are more accurately reflective of their own. We'll also dive into the concept of mass formation psychosis, a term frequently used in right-wing circles, and how it might actually apply to the conservative narrative about the events of January 6th. This is a case of cognitive dissonance at its peak, where the warnings of 1984 are mirrored in the actions of those who claim to oppose them. Observe.
How do you feel when you watch this?
I think I'm more numb when I look at this stuff. It's like surreal to me. I mean, look how angry I look.
You'd admit this is a bad look.
Totally.
Yeah.
You know how dumb I feel when I look at this picture? Like, oh my goodness.
Rachel Powell, also known as the Pink Hat Lady, is about to begin a 5-year prison sentence for her role in the January 6 attack on the US Capitol. She's a mom of 8 and grandmother of 6, and she's spent most of the last 3 years under home detention in rural Pennsylvania.
Is this what you expected from an insurrectionist, a terrorist? How'd I have time to plan an insurrection when my life is busy like this? Making pie, raising babies.
I would just like to take a moment to remind people of the common narrative of how this was Antifa and it was FBI. But in the video, you could see it was her. It wasn't FBI. She was the one at the very front pushing that large, whatever the hell that was, to smash through the window. This wasn't Ray Epps. This wasn't FBI. This wasn't Antifa. This was an ardent Trump supporter leading the charge to break into the Capitol. Now, the first comment I want to make here is a lot of folks on the right seeing who this woman was, mother with all these kids, seemingly normal. She seems like someone that I wouldn't mind having as a neighbor, and that's my view. I'm not saying that's what other people think. I mean, I look at her, she looks pretty normal. But a very problematic thought process I think a lot of conservatives will have watching this or learning about this woman is an emotional rather than logical response of putting your guard down, lowering the bar, because this is a mother. It's the same thing that we saw with the popular talking point about the FBI targeting parents. That's got to be one of the most absurd talking points of 2023. The fact that these people that the FBI supposedly targeted were parents is irrelevant. The fact that they're parents has no relevance whatsoever. Criminals are not demons. They're people. They have families, they have children, they have friends, right? They just do criminal things, but they are just regular people. You have parents who sexually assault their children. You have parents who physically abuse their children. You have parents who abandon their children. You have parents who rob banks, parents who are gang members, parents who are murderers, parents who are scam artists. You have parents who are terrorists. So again, the very fact that that was a common talking point of, oh, FBI targeting parents is ridiculous. It suggests that we're supposedly supposed to be nicer to someone because of the fact that they, a man put his penis in a woman's vagina and something popped out. So therefore, we should, you know, don't treat them the same way we would someone who hasn't put his penis in a woman and something popped out. So because you have not had children you should be treated more harshly, right? If you go and you attack the police or do what this woman did, smashing windows, if you did that as a non-parent, you just a single person, oh, lock him up. This guy is a criminal. But if you do it as a mother with babies, oh. Now, I'm not completely inhumane. I do recognize, you lock somebody like that up, the impact on the children. But again, parents are criminals too. If a parent commits a murder, should we consider the fact that they're a parent when we're considering the punishment? And if so, how much should we consider this at all? The only thing that matters here is what actions did this woman take and what is the appropriate punishment or response from law enforcement to those actions. The fact that she's a mother, the fact that she has kids, the fact that she seems nice and normal, not really relevant. And finally, as someone who's been in prison myself, I can guarantee you I would have never gotten house arrest. If I did what this woman did, I can guarantee you I would have been put in prison. And I can say that as a person who has never been charged with violence or fraud or anything sexually related or drugs. Someone who had no record whatsoever and was not even given the privilege of going home pending sentencing. They didn't even allow me, as a person with no record whatsoever. Well, I had a record, actually, a record of community service, right? But no criminal record whatsoever. They didn't even allow me to go home pending sentencing. And it's not like it's a murder trial or something where I'm a flight risk. Yet this woman is able to go to the capital of this country and she is able to violently smash through windows, pushing up on police officers at the Capitol. And she gets to hang out in her home for 3 years. I haven't done anything remotely close to what this woman has done, and they put me behind bars as soon as they could. But yet, let the mass formation psychosis people on the right tell it, she's being treated harshly, more harshly than others. This is 1984. Exactly the opposite of what they're saying is the truth. She's being treated with kid gloves, yet they say the opposite.
You having an ice axe in your hand, breaking a window, trying to get into the Capitol. How did that happen?
It got violent, and it was
I just gotta say, she looks absolutely nuts. Now, forget about smashing the window and going through, just looking, nodding her head. She looks like she is completely off her whatever.
and I'm completely in pain. And
Because you had been hit?
oh man, I'd been hit with a baton, I'd been grabbed and thrown, I'd been
Here, however, she looks very, very normal. Imagine if I did what this woman did, and then after the fact, I went on CNN and presented myself as a victim. So I'm in a violent riot, and I'm going to complain about being struck by the police. I would never dare mention this, even if I felt the way she does. I just wouldn't. I don't have it in me to be able to go on CNN and speak to the world and complain about the police hitting me when I was part of a violent riot. Someone put an ice axe in her hand and somehow got her to smash through the windows. For a group of people who like to talk about masculinity, I know she's not a man. They talk about masculinity and law and order and being tough. She sort of seems like a liberal snowflake. If someone put an axe in your hand, who the hell made you smash the window? Does this woman have any capacity to think and make decisions on her own? Imagine a liberal said something like this. They went and they smashed up somebody's home, not even the Capitol, just someone's home. And then when interviewed, they talk about, oh, somebody gave me the bat. Somebody gave you the bat. Did they put a gun to your head and make you smash the windows too? Right. I know it was the feds. The whole thing's a setup. Right.
hands, and it was only in my hands long enough to take out that window pane, and yet I've been charged with a deadly weapon.
Somebody give you the ice axe?
Yeah.
Who?
I don't know.
You don't remember?
I don't know who they were. I don't know where it came from. I don't know where it went.
I grew up, and I guess you probably did too, of being told, you know, if a police officer tells you to do something, you should probably do it. That didn't happen that day, of course. The police were telling you guys to go away.
They never actually told us to go away. I never had an officer look at me and say, you need to leave or I'm going to arrest you.
Footage like this of Rachel, seen here in the fur-hooded coat, pushing against a police line, and messages she posted on social media condoning violence ahead of January 6th were used by prosecutors to argue that Rachel wasn't just a peaceful protester who got caught up in the chaos of the day.
Do you regret that day?
Now, an example of this mass formation psychosis is in that listeners watching this video right now, even though evidence was just presented which completely demonstrated her deceit, most right-wingers watching this would not have picked up on it. They, in fact, would have most likely get caught up in her rhetoric about, oh, they never told us to leave, right? Their brains automatically connect with the ridiculous talking point of, they let them in, which is just as ridiculous as the, he said peacefully. I mean, it's so juvenile, the thought process, right? So listening to her saying that they never told her to leave, somehow, even after you see evidence to the contrary, many of you didn't even notice. She says that they never told her to leave. Do you see this massive barrier and all of these police officers behind this barrier holding the line? Do you know what this barrier means? Do you know what all of these officers, I mean, some of these are like 2 rows deep, 2 and 3 rows deep of officers in riot gear. Do you know what this says? This says, go away, leave. You're not allowed to come here. Now, we can act as if we're children and, play games. Maybe no one in this video is actually saying the literal words of you should leave or go home or something like that. But that's the equivalent of a police officer. You're driving down the road, a police officer holds his hand out. He looks you in the eye and holds his hand out, doesn't say a word, and you just ignore him and drive by. And then you go in court and you say, the police officer never told me to do anything. He didn't say stop. He didn't tell me I couldn't go in this way. If a police officer is looking at you and has his hand out, I think he's telling you to stop. He doesn't have to actually say those words. A police barrier like this, a barrier like that says stop. A barrier like that says you're not allowed over here. A barrier like this, in true 1984 fashion, says we're not going to let you in. We're going to fight to protect the Capitol from you being able to enter it, risking our lives because we don't know who has what, and it's so many of them. We're going to put our lives on the line to prevent you from getting into Capitol. But the mass formation psychosis allows you to pretend not to see this and to only see those selectively edited clips showing cops letting them in, right? It's all a setup. They just let them in. This nice, innocent woman with her babies just stumbled into the Capitol, and now she has to go to prison. I said it before, I'll say it again. If I had done what this woman did, I would not have gotten 3 years house arrest. And on top of that, I would have gotten more than 5 years because she doesn't show remorse. Can you imagine me doing what she did and not showing remorse and only getting 5 years? I don't think so. But the mass formation psychosis makes this make perfect sense to you. The idea that this poor, innocent woman Someone brainwashed her and gave her a pickaxe, ice axe, whatever, and somehow manipulated her. Some FBI guy was in the crowd and used some Jedi mind tricks to, somehow so basically you think that this woman is basically retarded, right? That some FBI guy could just hand her something and get her to smash through the window, right? No accountability for her. If I did it, accountability for me, but not for her, right? I would be expected to have some level of independence and ability to think and make decisions. And if I made bad decisions, I played stupid games, I would win stupid prizes, and people would be supportive of that. But when she does the same thing and she gets a slap on the wrist, you know, enjoy 3 years at home with your kids in your large home in the country, right? Right. This is Debate Me channel. Debate Me comment section below. Click on the like button, subscribe, smash that bell. Be well.